How you doing? No, how you doing? Hey guys, what's up? Matt here with BleepinJeep. Today on the channel we are going to replace the steering pump on the Comanche. So today's Friday. On Monday I have to put this thing on a trailer, take it to Nashville, and we're going to have it dyno tuned. HP Tuners is awesome and they're helping me out with that. But right now the thing is not even drivable. So I've got 3 days to get this thing going. Not only that, but you can't tune this, or you can't put it on the dyno and rev it up because the power steering pump is totally shot. So today we're going to take the power steering pump off. We got to go to town, get a new one, and try to get it back in and get this thing running again. Let's do it. Alright, so I'm not too familiar with the P pumps. There's two different types of pumps. You got the TC pump and the P pump, and this is the 5.3 LS motor, and it has the P pump. Jeremy and I did replace this once already, and it lasted exactly one ride. Less than 8 hours of time on this thing, and it's already toast. So my theory is that it's getting warm. So I've got a bigger cooler that I'm going to install. This one is the one that came with the CJ. I don't know if you can see it in there, but it's pretty small. It's only about 3 inches wide or so and about 10 inches tall. The one I've got now is like 12 by 9 or something. And I'm going to put that in there whenever I get the new pump installed. So the first thing is to take it off, and this pulley does not have holes in it. So you have to pull that pulley off first before I can get the pump off. So the first thing I want to do is loosen the belt. So I've got a wrench on the idler pulley. I've loosened that, and now I can go ahead and get the belt off of the pump. And now we've got this pulley puller. There's a little clamshell that goes on the pulley, and then this piece goes over the top, and now when you tighten that down, it'll pull it off. There's a lot of hoses and wires and stuff in the way. How the heck did we do that before? I can't remember how we did this last time. I can't seem to hold this. I think Jeremy might have just held it while I turned the wrench, but I can't do both. So this will be perfect for my little tiny Milwaukee impact. Let's see if it'll do the trick. What the crud? Am I doing it wrong? Oh, look at that. I got it on setting 1. Let's go to setting 3. Oh, look at that. Wow. That made my life a lot easier rather than sitting there for 2 hours trying to fight that. So now you can see the pump. Well, I don't know, can you? Not really. Let me move you. Now you can see the pump. So I just need to take off these bolts here, and then the whole thing will just drop down, disconnect the lines, and then replace it. Since the pump's being held in place though, might as well disconnect this hard line right here before I loosen it. Let's see, righty tighty. You guys are gonna have to move. My bucket's not in the right place. There we go. Gonna be messy. Oh yeah. I really like this thing, how small it is. How cool is that? How cool is that? Okay. Go. I think that's it. Am I missing something? Am I missing anything? Come on! Come out! Aha! There is. There's some sort of bracket holding it on from the back side back here. Oh, there it comes. It's also grounded there, so I need to make sure to put that ground wire back when I'm done. When you put a V8 into a Comanche, or a Cherokee I guess too, tight quarters. Whoa! Whoa, yep, it dropped. It dropped. Stay. Come on. Come on. I'll get this thing out of here. Oh, all in my face. I got it all in my face. All in my face. Okay, so there is the P pump. You can see the difference in size between the P pump and the TC pump, although this has the housing with it as well. So this is the pump right here, and it just has an O-ring, and it goes inside the housing, where the TC pump is like what you'd find on a Cherokee, and it has the housing that kind of attaches to the side and is kind of on the outside of the pump, whereas this one is kind of built in together. A lot of people are going now to the TC pumps, but when you talk to the professionals, the P pump is a really good option because it's very sturdy, it's very strong, it's very big. So just kind of personal preference. They do make adapters that you can adapt a TC pump onto your LS motor, although I'm going to try and stick with the P pump. But I'll probably upgrade in the future. I think we're going to do a bigger and better pump. This one just happens to be from Napa. It's pretty stock and factory. But before you take this in, you'll want to take all your bracketry off before you take it in for a core charge, because you need to keep this stuff. Alright. Now you can also just buy the pump, just like with the TC pumps on the Cherokees. You can just buy the pump, you can just buy the housing, or you can do a combination of both. This actually came with both, I believe, so I'll just take it back and warranty it out for a new pump and a housing, all as one unit. Okay, well that was a bust. They did have the power steering pump, but the top of it was squished, so the cap wouldn't even go on. So I ordered it. It's going to come in tomorrow. Of course, that pushes this video back a day, but for you guys that won't matter. But for me, I'll have to wait until tomorrow. And now I'm driving in this Jeep, the Commander, and because of the video I made the other day, I can't see where I'm going because I ruined the wiper blades. Check this out. So blurry! Holy cow, it's raining like crazy out there now, so I'm gonna have to limit the talking while I what I'm gonna do though while I'm waiting for that pump to come in is I'm gonna install this cooler. I've got two of these on the Scorpion crawler over here, and they work really good. It is a B&M super cooler. I get these off of Amazon, 70274. You can use these for transmission fluid or power steering, which this one's going to be for. So let's put that sucker in here in the Comanche. Oh, by the way, I got this place cleaned out. Well, I did have it cleaned out. Now it's a mess again. But I got two vehicles in here now with tons of room because I cleaned out. I probably took 4 or 5 truckloads of garbage. Look how nice it is in here now. Alright, so I've got my cooler here, but it just has female opened ends, so I gotta adapt that to the hose that I'm using. And instead of going back and forth to the store, I'm not super happy about this, but I just usually use what I have lying around. So I'm gonna use an adapter here because I am tired of waiting. I wanna get this thing together. So I found this one as well. Here's a little tip for you. If you hold your piece in the left hand and then you wrap this underneath like you don't do with your toilet paper, and then you put your finger through the roll, you can wrap this around you want to wrap this about at least 3 times, if not all the way up to 6 times. And if you do it that way, and you remember how to do it that way, you'll always have it wrapped in the correct direction when you go to thread it in. You don't want it wrapped the other way, or it'll unravel as you go to thread it into the female threads. So we're going to do that again on this piece, and then we'll put this in here and tighten both down. Same thing on the bottom. Alright, little trick for you: when you mount a cooler like this, you can mount it 2 ways. You can mount it sideways like this, where the nipples are pointed out to the side, or you can mount it vertically like this with the nipples pointed up. Now if it's mounted up like this, the lines can come in either direction, in or out or in, or whatever you want to do. If you've got it mounted sideways though, you want this one to be the in and this one to be the out. What you're trying to do here is keep air from getting trapped in the system. And you never want to mount the cooler like this, where these are pointed down, because then the air will get trapped up here and never force its way back down. So if you're going to mount it sideways, in, out. If you're going to mount it up like this, doesn't matter. Alright, so the mounting holes line up perfectly, but it's really tight in there. I don't even know that this is going to fit where I intended it to. So I'm going to have to take off the whole front clip so I can finagle this in there, because it's just too much. Oh, that's so close right there, but just not quite enough. I had to notch a little bit out of the frame right here, but I think it's gonna fit. It's gonna go something like this. Alright, so this one gets looped around right here. I don't really like that it has to have a loop in it, but it's actually higher here where it comes from than where it goes to, so there's not much I can do about it. So that's gonna go here. This one is going to go right there, and all the other crap is going to go back behind here, and it should work. Alright, check it out. I've got it bolted on the left side twice, and I've got a big sturdy zip tie on this side. It's pretty solid, and I've got the lines all routed and everything. Looking good. I'm going to see if the grill will go back on. This line right here for the transmission is kind of in the way, and if I push it down it kinks a little bit, so I want to see if I can keep it just like that. But we'll see if this grill will go back on. Check out what I found down here. So we've got the lower radiator hose, and come on, is hitting on this pulley right here, and there's a gash in it. It's hard to see. I'm gonna take that off and go get a new one. Oh, that's a mess. Now you can see it a little better. Where is it? Right there. That's where I was getting nicked by the pulley. So I keep a bunch of sets of these around, and I went through them, and none of them are the right size. When I go get the power steering pump, I need to look for something like this. Of course, they're going to ask me, what year is it from? What engine? Oh, I get that question a lot, and then whenever you tell them, I don't know, they look at you like you're stupid, right? So anyway, hopefully they'll let me just browse through the hoses in the back until I find something this shape. Alright, I'm back from the store. This has been a total waste of my time and a giant nightmare. Halfway home I realized that the pump they gave me didn't come with the cap, so I go back And what happened was the first night that I went there, they made me leave my core. Well, when I came back today, my core was gone. They had already sent it back, and they sent my cap back along with it. So they gave me another cap, which was good. And then I got home and I opened it, and I realized with this little sticker here, it says that you have to reuse the hardware on the back. Well, my core's gone. I don't have the hardware. There's supposed to be some studs that come out of here, and they're at a certain depth, and then you mount this bracket on top of that. Well, I kept the bracket. I didn't keep the studs, so I've kind of figured it out. Hopefully, I put some bolts in here with some spacers, some washers as spacers underneath there, but I really don't know if that's the correct depth and if this is going to line up. So it's just been a total show. Hopefully that will seal, because there are holes in the can back here, so I don't really know if you need those studs or if these bolts will work. On the other hand, they did let me search around the back and find a hose, and this hose looks like it's going to work. It's got a little divot right here, so hopefully it'll clear the pulley this time and I won't have an issue there. We'll see when I get it all put in. Alright, so check this out. I've got it in there just temporarily. I think it's going to work with that mounting bracket the way I did it. But now I'm considering adding capacity to the reservoir. And I've seen people do this in two different ways. One, you just take a radiator hose and put it down on there. But then you got to figure out how to cap the top, or get some sort of cap to cap that off. The other way is to cut that piece in half right there where the cap goes, and then I could weld a tube onto it, and I can extend it up and add that much more capacity, which is just going to help with cooling basically, because you have that much more fluid and it stays cool longer. So I think what I'll do is I can't have this sticking straight up like this because it contacts here, so I need to bend it a little bit. But I've looked around the shop and this is the only piece that I have, and I can't bend a piece that short. It won't fit in my bender. So what I'll do is I'll probably notch it a few times, crank it over like that, and then I'll have to weld up all the gaps. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a sec. Alright, check it out. That's perfect. Now I'll just weld this up and we'll have extra fluid capacity. Whoa! Check it out. Looks pretty good. Now the last thing I want is to get it all in there and for it to leak. So let's pressure test it. I'm going to put the cap on. I've turned the regulator down to 5 psi, and I'm going to spray it with some soapy water around wherever I welded it. Let's give this a shot. Uh-oh, I see bubbles down here. So we got bubbles. That means there's a leak down here, and I need to just take care of it real quick with the welder before I put it in. Check it out. So I got the radiator hose put in down there. It's kind of cramped. You guys can barely make it out, but I got it in there. It's up there, as you can see, in the middle of your screen. I also got the pump attached here, but I need to put on the pulley yet. So to do that, it's pretty simple. It's just like what we did when we took it off, except now we're going to use a different part of this pulley puller. We're going to use the masher. No, I don't know what you call this, but basically there's a threaded piece on the shaft of the pump. We're going to thread this into there, and then we're going to hold this piece with a wrench while we tighten this one, and it'll shove it back down onto the shaft of the pump. I actually said that backwards. What you have to do on this is put a wrench on here and then hold the back one while you turn this nut here, and that pushes the pulley down. Now this one bottomed out and it looks flush, but if sometimes you don't want to go all the way down, what you want to do is get these pulleys in line with the other pulleys, and what you can do is put a straight edge across here and get them in line with the other ones. You don't want it to be out or too far in, otherwise it'll pull your belt sideways. So make sure that it's flush with your other ones. Now to add the fluids back. If you've never seen one of these, you need to check it out. I probably ought to do a review video on this thing, but it's a funnel that goes over here and you just fill this thing up. You let your vehicle get warm and let it air out all the bubbles all at once, so you don't have to come back and keep on filling up. And bubbles are the enemy of your cooling system. So this comes with a bunch of adapters for each type of vehicle. You just put it on there like this, and then this goes down in here. You fill this up with fluid, you run the vehicle with the fluid in there, and you let all the bubbles circulate out. Once the vehicle gets hot, it opens up the thermostat, and when the thermostat opens up, it'll pull that fluid through, get all the bubbles out, and then when you're done, you just plug it back up like this, pop it out, and then you pour your remaining fluid back in your container. Now on the power steering side, we've drained all the fluid because we had all the lines open, and it would be really, really bad if I started the car with no power steering fluid in it. So what I'm going to do is fill this up, and then when it gets to the top, I'm going to lift the front axle off the ground and turn the steering wheel back and forth, and that will push the fluid through manually and try to get all the bubbles out before I ever start the vehicle. Then when I do start it, what I'll do is just start it for a half second, shut it off, and then do it again. I want to make sure to get all the air out so I don't run the system dry. That would be terrible. Okay, I've got fluid in it. If I did everything correctly, I can go ahead and bump it. Cross your fingers. A little bit. I need some more. Need some more fluid. See how much that sucks down. I'm going to open the door, start it, and just let it sit and idle for a little while and see what happens. Well, that ends the festivities for today. I hope you learned something, maybe what not to do. I don't know. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up, make sure to subscribe, and if you really enjoy it, the Patreon is where it's at. Check it out, patreon.com/BleepinJeep. We could really use your support over there. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. We'll be right back.